Hi guys, I'm Izzy.
And I'm Jake.
And in June, we quit our jobs and booked a one-way flight to backpack around the world. We have decided to make videos along the way of travel tips, advice, how to backpack on a budget, and general vlogs of what we get up to. If you would like to follow us on our journey, please subscribe and enjoy the video.
Hello guys, a long time no see.
Yeah.
It's been a while. We've been so busy, but we're going to talk to you about why we've been so busy for the past month or so.
So the last time we uploaded was, I think, about 2 weeks ago. We were just leaving Sydney to head to Wellington, which is where we are right now.
Where our jobs
in
are.
our staff accommodation hotel room at our new job.
Which is so much better than the George Hotel. Callum, yet again,
So
if you're
much
watching it, bro, get yourself to Australia. It's so much better.
Yeah, so we're in Wellington. We got here about 2 weeks ago.
3 weeks
now,
ago?
didn't we?
3 weeks ago, yeah.
3 weeks ago now. And we basically started working as soon as we got here. Jake was put on the road to like the next day.
Literally, we got here on a Wednesday and the next day I was on a Thursday. And
Yeah, we arrived at like 4 or 5 p.m. and then you were on the next day. So yeah, we're dove right into it. So that's why we've not really had time to film any videos since then. We've not even really had any days off together, which we don't mind. It just means that filming's a bit more difficult. No, so it's been really good. The job's been going really well, but we'll get to that a bit later on. So this video we basically wanted to talking about the whole process to move into Australia, really.
Yeah. So before going away on June, we never had the plan of living in Australia for a year. It wasn't our plan. Our plan was to maybe go here for a month, 2 months,
Yeah,
travel
our plan was
around.
to get the tourist visa, which I think is
a month, 3 months. I think it
3
lasts for.
months we were gonna get, and then just travel around Australia for those 3 months.
Which I'm so glad we didn't do that because Australian prices are ridiculous. We'll talk about that later on.
And I don't think we also realised how massive Australia is. So we thought, oh, we'll be able to do loads of it in 3 months. And then we spoke to so many people like through Asia and things like that, and they were like, you're gonna need way longer than 3 months to see Australia. So yeah, it was, so before we came away, like Jake said, we just thought we were going to do the tourist visa and just travel around it like that. So we didn't really think about Australia too much. We didn't even know when we were going to be arriving in Australia. So before leaving, we didn't do anything for Australia because we didn't know when we were getting here. So we couldn't do the visas or anything like that.
And it was when we were in Vietnam, so like the third month of travelling, we spoke to this lad called Ollie. And he was saying he's on a working holiday visa in Australia, like how good it is, and the wage is ridiculous. Like honestly, like so we're on $31 an hour, which equals to about £15.50. I was the assistant manager of a hotel in England, right? Assistant manager, you think quite high up. I was second in command. I was on £13 an hour.
I was on £10 as a restaurant manager, so going from £10 an hour to £15 an hour, and that's minimum rate here, so that's like basic Monday to Friday. You get more on a weekend and even more on a holiday, so
yeah. So
really
next weekend is on the 26th is Australian Day. We're on double wage, so we're on $62 an hour, which equals to £31 an hour, and I've got a 7-hour shift.
Yeah, and I've got an 8.5 hour one, so it's great. But yeah, so talking to him in Vietnam made us think, okay, we're definitely going to need to do the working holiday visa. And then there was another girl there, wasn't there, that said to apply basically sooner rather than later, because it can take a really long time to come through. Vietnam, this was about September, October time?
Yeah, no, it was September.
It was September.
All of September, yeah.
Yeah, so
August
we thought, well, we've still got a lot of Asia left to do. We thought to ourselves, because we actually initially thought when you apply for the Australian visa, that's when your year starts from then. So we thought, well, we don't want to apply too early and then risk like having 3 months like of pointless time in our visa.
Yeah.
But it actually turns out that when you apply for your visa, that doesn't matter. It's just you have within a year from when you get your visa to get into Australia, and then your year starts from then.
So we got ours on.
Yeah, we applied November 6th or 7th while we were in Malaysia, and doing that process was really easy.
Well,
And then we had to get medical examinations, which we didn't know we had to get. Talking to loads of other people, they said, oh, we've never had to do anything like that. So we assume it's because we'd done a lot of travelling before going into Australia, which is what the doctor said.
it's because the doctor said it's because we've been travelling around Asia, and Australia very strict with the condition called tuberculosis, which is common in Asia, and they obviously don't want to bring it here. So that's only the reason. If you applied from England, you shouldn't have to do a medical examination, and if you've not been travelling.
Yeah, so we did them. That cost £70 each, the medical examinations, and we had to do blood tests, we had our heart rate checked, like physical examination. Basically, they checked like our eyesight, our things like that. What else was there? An X-ray we had to have. Yeah, and I think that was it. And that was £70 each. I've heard that it varies, like the price of the medical examinations varies depending on where you're getting them from, like in Asia. Like I think I watched one YouTube video and these people paid like over like 100 or even more it might have been.
We were
which
really
is
lucky.
a lot. So we're glad we did it in Malaysia when we could. Yeah, so we applied for them. They came in like 2 days later. We were literally in the airport traveling from Singapore, and we got we'd arrived in Indonesia from Singapore, and we got the email through saying that our visas had been granted. So yeah, we had a year from them to enter Australia.
And we entered on December the 27th.
December the 27th, yeah. When we got our visa, we basically booked the rest of our Asia travel so that we knew when we were going to be in Australia. And our flight into Australia was December the 27th. And
the
then
26th going in, the 27th.
The 26th going in, the 27th. And then the job-wise, Jake actually, I'll let you explain that.
So I spoke to my friend. I have a friend called Ollie. Yeah, I've got loads of friends called Ollie. And I went to college with him, and I noticed he lived in Australia, so I just asked him some advice of how to get jobs because I didn't know how to do it. And Ollie was like, just get yourself on this Facebook website called Australian Backpackers 2023 to 2024 it was. So I was like, all right, sound. So I put a post on there, put a picture of me and Isabel and all of our accolades of stuff that we've trained in and stuff and whatnot. And within 24 hours. This was in November when we were in Bali. We were in Nusa Penida. And within 24 hours, our manager Ellie got back to us and said, we'd love to have you both. So from November, we didn't arrive till December the 27th, and it was early November. We had a job already planned, so literally everything was so, like, everything was just so easy, like, but it was already planned. Everything, we didn't have to worry about getting jobs or anything. We already had plans, so it was good.
I did also want to quickly say here, the cost of the visa each was £330. So it was £330 each plus the £70 each for the medical examination, so it's £400 each just to basically get into Australia. I did forget to say that before. But yeah, so we saw a lot of people on the Facebook page as well waiting until they got to Australia to then apply for a job, which I guess you could do, but we would honestly recommend it the way we did because some of those people had been waiting weeks and weeks to get a job, and they were having to pay so much to stay in the hostels in Australia, which is so expensive. You're looking at like £400 a week just for a hostel. So they're paying that just while they're waiting to get a job. So what we did was great because it meant we had it guaranteed for when we got there. So we only spent a week in Sydney before leaving, just so we could kind of see Sydney, get our bearings, and then head over here. So yeah, just checking my so while we actually applied for the visa, it was still a rule that in order to get your second or third year of your Australian visa, so we've just got the first year working holiday visa, it's like the subclass 417. If you want to get the second year, you have to work 88 days somewhere. In
a remote postcode, in a farm, something like that.
Some kind of work 88 days, but because we're from England, they actually changed that more recently, and now you don't have to have worked 88 days at all. I think you just have to have come into the country,
you just have to come into the country,
so
as long as you don't get your visa revoked or anything, you're pretty much guaranteed your second year visa, which is awesome because that is our plan. That is our plan, is to maybe do our second and third year. The first one we're going to be travelling when we finish a job in May, back end of May. So we've got a couple of months before we go to my brother's wedding in August. But our second year visa, we're thinking about just coming here just to work because the wage is so good, and we could save up for a year, go back to England, and like not be rich, but like be so much more well off. Because like the staff accommodation we're staying at now is free. Yeah. So we've not got to pay for anything. There's not much to do around here, but that's good because we're saving more money. So if we work for a year, we're going to be earning 20 plus grand, 24 plus grand.
Yeah, so it's definitely worth to consider all of that as well, because I know a lot of people are maybe worried about like the pay and getting made maybe like really minimum or anything like that, but minimum wage here is still really good. I think minimum wage here is £15 an hour.
So it's 14
pounds an hour, which is more than what you get in England anyway. And if you stay in somewhere with staff accommodation, that is always so much more cheaper anyway. We're very lucky that we're going to get it for free, but it is usually really cheap. So that's always a really good shout. But to work in the hotel industry, when we got to Australia, that was a whole other different thing. So when you arrive in Australia, the things that we would definitely recommend doing is getting a bank account set up. We did ours with Commonwealth Bank.
Yeah.
And that was really easy to set up. We just went into one of the branches and we just sat with the woman, didn't we?
Yeah, we just
And
sat with
she
the
went
woman.
through it.
Within bring another form of ID with you.
Bring two forms of ID
So your
with you. That
passport,
is really important.
and if you have a provisional or a driving license, bring that with you, because I'm going through this situation right now where I can't get my card for my RSA, which is responsible server alcohol.
But with your bank, because I had two forms of ID, they could get mine processed right away. But with Jake's, he had to wait longer because he only had his passport. Really strange. I've never set up a bank account before. I don't know if it's normal to need two forms of identification, but in Australia you need like two forms of identification to set up anything, like Jake said with the RSA, but we'll get into that as well. So we got the bank account. We also applied for a tax file number, which actually took a while to come through, and you also need an address in Australia to get both of those things. With the bank as well and the tax file number, you need an address in Australia, so we just put the place we're working at. So yeah, we got the tax file number. That took actually quite a while to come through. I'm not sure whether it's because we arrived just before New Year's Eve, so it took a while to come through, but it took about a week, I think.
About a week
and a half. We actually had got to our job here and it arrived here after we'd got here. So that was probably maybe even 2 weeks into arriving to Australia. So yeah, we got them. And then in order to get an RSA, which you need to serve alcohol in anywhere in Australia, you need an RSA. You need to get a USI, which is a unique student identify number, and you just apply for that online. Again, you need like your address, your tax file number, no, not your tax file number, your address, and you just fill in the details like that. And that is so that you can get the certificates from the RSA. So yeah, we got the USI and then we applied for the RSA, which was
60 something. There was $135, $145, it would have been like £72.50.
Yeah, each. So yeah, we both applied for them. That took so long because it was such a process to do. You have to answer
30 questions.
30 questions on it all.
Do a maths and literacy test.
Maths and literacy test.
And then you have to do like 12 video answers.
Questions,
like scenarios where you're actually behind a bar, pretending to be behind a bar, and
like what we're doing now, talking to the camera. You're basically given scenarios and you have to film yourself, like how you would act out that scenario with the person. So it's things like if someone underage came in and you have to like ask them for the ID and things like that, or if they seem to be really drunk and you have to tell them that you can't serve them anymore. It took us a couple of attempts to get those video questions in there, but we eventually passed it and we got that. We got all this sorted in the week we were in Sydney because we wanted to come to our job with all these things. So we got that RSA. Now that we're here, Jake's also having to do an RCG, which is for gambling, because we've got like the pokey machines downstairs. So in order to be able to use them for the customers and like take the money and give the money out to them, Jake needs an RCG, which again is another, is it £25 that one? £25. And again, you have to do like the video questions and everything like that. So yeah, that was a big process to do and something to keep in mind if you plan on working in the hospitality industry when you come to Australia. I know a lot of people go into farm work when they first get here. We're actually so thankful that we didn't do that, because arriving here and just experiencing the heat, we just know that we couldn't have worked in like this kind of heat for like 8 hours a day. So we're really glad we decided to do like the RSAs and work in hospitality and things like that, and we're lucky that we both have the background in it to be able to do that. So yeah, we got all of that sorted. Driving wise in Australia, I didn't really think about it before coming away, because in my mind Australia was like a year or so away from when we left. In reality, we came here a bit earlier than what I initially thought. But so yeah, driving I'm still uncertain on, because it depends on what states you're in and things like that. And I didn't actually get an international driver's permit before coming away, which you can only get in England, like in a post office. So I need to go into like one of the New South Wales service stores and like kind of ask them if I can drive, what I kind of need to do for all of that. So yeah, I can't give too much information on driving in Australia. But yeah. I think it's mostly now just the plans that we kind of have in Australia and our plans for 2024 in general, really.
Yeah, so we're gonna work this job until about we're not quite sure. It all depends on Isabel's drive and stuff. So we're either gonna leave on May the 12th. If she can't drive, we're gonna stay to the back end of May just to get the extra 2 weeks to pay for. Because we don't really want to stay in hostels if we're being honest.
It sounds so bad. We have stayed in a lot of hostels before. It's just
different when you're a couple.
Yeah, it is. Ideally, we'd like to stay in hotels or something. If I can't, the ideal plan is that I can drive kind of indefinitely while we're here, and then what we'd love to do is get a camper van or rent a camper van to travel around the east coast of Australia, because we're going to be travelling around Australia from May till August. So whether that's going to be driving around in a camper van or staying up in hotels or hostels, like just up the east coast, because we know that 3 months isn't enough time to do all of Australia. So yeah, we've taken that amount of time to do the east coast, and then what we'd like to do is we're going back to Europe. We're going to Cyprus at the end of August for a wedding, for Jake's brother's wedding. And then ideally we'd like to be able to come back to this job in September. So fly back here, work from September till the start of December, go to New Zealand for a week or two, and then eventually go home and apply for our second year, and then hopefully come back out for the second year, and then in that second year do more of the west coast of Australia and things like that. That's the plan for this year anyway. Fingers crossed it does go to plan. Hopefully I can drive and things like that. If not, but before you go away, I would recommend getting the international driver's permit.
Yeah.
It's something I didn't even think about, or I've never heard of anybody talking about it before, so I didn't know it was something I had to do. But if you're thinking about driving anywhere in the world, you should get an international driver's permit.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is only like £5.50 at the post office. But you can only do it in person at the post office in England. That's why I'm gonna have to like go in and just see how it all works out. But yeah, that's the plan for now. We are hoping to make some more videos while we're here.
It's just hard when we're working full time.
Yeah, and they might not be very consistent. We might not be very consistent with the timing of uploading them. For example, it's been 2 weeks since the last one. We don't know when we'll get the next one done. But yeah, please subscribe for more Australia content. It's going to be basically a whole year worth of Australia content, which we're really excited for, and we hope you are too. So yeah, please subscribe, give this video a like. And I've just been called into work last minute, so I'm going to have to go and get changed, so we're going to need to go. So yeah, please like and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this video.
And we'll see you in the next one.
We'll see you in the next one. Bye!
Of assistant manager. Hey. Typical.
I think after Vietnam we still did.